Fusion Parasite. Now that's an interesting little tech choice out of this event. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We're continuing on with our streak of Kong's Cards post Fire King structure deck events, and well, our top 16 for this event actually is kind of interesting. Unchained takes the lead for this breakdown, which is actually kind of interesting. We obviously, like, these events are, I think this one would hit like 85, 86 people, which means, I mean, you're going to have more meta contenders out here pushing, you know, for the prizing, obviously. So I'm not all that surprised. We also had 3 Infernobles sitting at the dinner table, 3 Tier, and 2 Rescue Ace. Now you're off-brand, or yeah, you're off-branded list. You have 1 branded deck, no pun intended. You have Menkanko, 1 Purely, and our 1 Fire King Duelist. I swear Fire King for these events is not having a good showing. I think we're going to have to wait for Phantom Nightmare for this deck to kind of get itself in the front door and actually kind of do something. Now, top 8, we have 2 Unchained. We lost a lot of the meta transitioning here, which is, I mean, it's not terrible, but it does leave a little bit to be desired. We had 1 Infernoble, which actually Infernoble ended up winning this event, which, I mean, compared to a lot of the others, you've got the whole meta bouncing back and forth here, you know, seeing who can kind of overcome what. Now, interestingly enough, our branded list is in top 8, which is actually a very nice change of pace. I don't know, branded for most of this format has just been kind of dead, or it's like a Chimera variant. So to see that Pure is doing its thing is good. We also had our Menkanko Duelist sitting at the table. We've seen that build doing a lot as of late. Of course, Purely, Tier, and you also have Rescue Ace. So, I mean, once again, your top cut, it's a lot of the same meta, but Branded and Menkanko are kind of having a good showcasing here of some of the other ideas and things you can kind of bring to the meta and actually do well with. Let's pass on over to top deck list. So, winning our event here is none other than Infernobles boarding off the good old power of the Sinful Spoils package. You're not playing this deck unless you're playing the Sinful Spoils package. Like, this engine is just the thing that gets this deck off of the ground and gets the consistency going that it needs. Of course, we are main decking the Angel's Ring. I still think this card's good. And we are playing the crossouts. We're not doing the crossout for the Purely Leap, though. That was something that we did see from Pack when they were playing the build, but they smashed through and had no problem. So good stuff. Next up here, we have Branded getting 2nd place out here. Amazing. They've also punted the Super Polys into the side deck. Still sporting off 44 cards here. We have crossouts built into the main deck, and we're only doing 1 Thrust and 1 Talents. This is so much different than, you know, a lot of the formulae that people have sworn by for a lot of this format. So maybe this is the change that you need to see out here to see Branded actually stepping in the light and doing good. Next up here, we have our Menkanko Duelist getting 3rd place as well. You see Gen and Ken actually only stripping down to a 2-2 split of these. That's actually kind of cool. We have, of course, Super Polys built into the main deck for board breaking. There's our double thrust into our talents. Yep, we know how good that is. I also love the fact that they've been choosing the main deck, the Feather Duster, to kind of overcome things. And, of course, the little time gainer as well. This is, I like this list. It's standard and straight to the point. Next up here, we have Purely, boy, Cat in the Hat deck. Still playing the 1 copy Leap. You still see, I swear most of these side decks are extremely the same. Like, you've got like the Shifters, the Bells, you have the Summon Limits. You opt for typically Nibiru. Nibiru is the biggest high impact card that you typically want to be having for this deck, to make sure that, you know, you can get the job done and, you know, play the game effectively. Cleaning up a token with Purely is pretty easy. Next up here, we have Unchained. There's, of course, we're always playing the good old standard package. Gotta love DDD. Of course, 2 Thrust, 1 Talents. Side deck down here is a little bit interesting. I do see that we have some Crows. We also play the 1 Herald of the Abyss for our Thrust to go into. There's our Destructive Daruma Cannon. I don't see anything else. Maybe the Veilers kind of stick out, but outside of that, interesting. Next up here we have, standard tier elements. We're not even doing no Shyama plays, standard lineup, and maybe King of the Swamp might feel, once again, I mean, we've read doctoral thesis on this card, this format. People, I understand people still don't like this card, but man, oh man, like, it gets the job done when it needs to. I also see that we are playing or citing the Heartbeat. A lot of people do swear by you need this in the main deck, but I don't really think so. Alright, next up here we have more Unchained. Holy moly, so much Unchained. Double Thrust, the 1 talent, so yeah, pretty self-explanatory. We are side decking 2 enemy controllers. I guess you kind of take your poison with this. Alright, either you're going to force an interaction to want to be playing multiple numbers of these to make sure that, you know, you can see them to take your opponent's cards, or you just don't play it at all. And Unchained does need ways to kind of handle threats that they normally can't, even though Unchained does have a pretty good coverage. Next up here, we have Rescue Ace. And this is what we're talking about. The ability to take your opponent's cards and use their effects as your own. So you can take your opponent's Turbulence, go ahead and say your stuff. Something that, you know, Unchained necessarily can't do a lot of. But, I mean, I would love to take my opponent's Turbulence, go ahead and, you know, set 4 depending on the matchup. Of course, we do see the Instant Fusion. This has been a pretty big side deck choice. I think every build has been side decking in the Instant Fusion for the Mud Dragon. Next up here, we have our Fire King Duelist. Barely scraped. They didn't even make it. They made it to 9th place. I will say, they have lost to so much tier elements out here that they're citing the Neko Main King, which, this is just comedy gold to me at this point, that if a Fire King Duelist is having this much fun, or unfun, against tier, that they've had to start playing something like this to kind of counter the meta. That really says something. Next up here, we have some more Infernoble. There's the Angel Ring, and of course, I'm glad to see that DDR is seeing some play. I really do think that DDR is one of the craziest things, especially when you can start going back around for the Aqua Dolphin and go ping them for round 2 out of the hand. Don't underestimate how stupid that it can be to do that, because the Aqua Dolphin is kind of just free real estate for this deck. Like, the Warrior deck loves that. Next up here we have, oh man, it's more Unchained. Man, just playing 1 Thrust with 1 Talents. Okay, we do see the 1 of Change of Heart here. Yep, the Herald, we said the 2 additionals as we need, and then we do see our good friend Sangan down here. I will tell you, Sangan has been a ride to actually watch. You know, the ability to go toggle in for Droll and Lockbird and laugh at your opponent. I'll take it every time. Next up here, we have more Rescue Ace. Man, we don't even have anything fun in this build. We're playing Ricardo. Like, that's it. Like, the Sub-Warrior package is fine, but it feels like every time we see it, it just, I don't know, it kind of feels like a miss. You do see the Fire Attacker down here in the side deck. That's pretty normal. And, of course, we're side decking in our Econ, so you know what? That's fine. Something else a little bit exciting, I suppose. Next up here, we have our Tier Elements list, and yes, that is the Fusion Parasite. This card can be used as a fusion substitute for any one material whose name is specifically listed on that monster card, but the other fusion monsters must be correct and cannot be used as fusion material otherwise. If this card is special summoned, you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion material, including this card. That's it's a cute little super poly. I'll see, wow, we're getting some real spice in here, like polys or e-tellies and stuff. This build is interesting. Next up here we have, more tier. Yeah, there's our Shyama. We're playing 1 of each of our friends. There's the Mallies, yup. Let's see here. Only 2 copies of Talents. We are citing the TC boost. Yeah, the Braum Poke Special, man. I love seeing this card down here. And we're having some crows having a party down here as well. Definitely a lot of good coverage out of this list. Next up here we have more Infernoble. Let's see here. Angel Ring, there's the DDR. Check. 45 cards is fine. We are citing triple Moonlit Chill. There's the Herald with the Thrust, so that we can go ahead and toggle on into those. I don't have a lot to really say about this list. I think most of this feels, once again, pretty standard. That's That's what I expect. Next up here we have more Unchained. Hey, look, it's the DDD package. Please, somebody, have some fun with this deck. Please, try something else. We also have the shared rides down here. Yeah, that's pretty standard. And then we have the super polymerizations for the board breaking. Yeah, that's all we have out of this event. A lot of Unchained, and I'm sick of it. But it's okay. We got to see Fusion Parasite actually show up in a build, and that's kind of cool. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And remember, check out Kong's Cards. Use the discount code MCO40. Save on your purchase. You guys have a good rest of your day. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.